then that clinic should be set up under a different employer ID number, different corporate structure, different corporate identity from the rural health clinic. It's your rural health clinic EIN, employer ID number, and corporation, and you've got your non-rural health clinic EIN, corporation. They may be owned by the same people, but you've got two separate and distinct operations. I had a client that operated a non-rural health office in a community that was not eligible for rural health clinic status. About 30 miles away, he had his rural health clinic in a community that was eligible. The problem was that this physician operated both clinics under one corporate umbrella. So he had one working trial balance, one set of books with all of this non-rural health clinic cost. Therefore, all the costs associated with that non-rural health clinic ran through the books of the entity that owned the rural health clinic, and we had to show all of those non-RHC costs in this bottom section of the cost report. Now, this is applicable only to the freestanding clinic. Hospital-based clinics are included in the accounting methodology of the hospital. This is not an issue for you folks, okay? They operate numerous non-rural health clinic programs, and the way they do their allocation and costing methodology is acceptable, and this is not an issue for you guys. But in a freestanding clinic, here's how those non-rural health clinic costs, that one that's in section, in the green section down here, all of this flows. You don't get any credit for that, okay? When it's coming up with the cost that we use to divide by your visits, anything in this last section is the green light. It just keeps right on going through the cost report. It affects the middle section. Make it real simple math. Let's say that you have $100 worth of allowable costs for your rural health clinic. Now, I know that's ridiculous, but I don't do well with zeros, so that's what we're going to use. You've got $100. $20 of that total cost was in this bottom section, in the green section. $20 of it was for non-rural health clinic work, okay? Got that? All right. Now, the way the cost report mechanism works, in some of the worksheets, it does this for you. It makes you calculate it this way, and the computer system does it automatically. The non-rural health clinic costs of $20, that means that 20% of your total cost was non-rural health. So it's going to go back up to this middle section, all that facility overhead and administrative cost. It's going to go back up to that one, and it's going to reduce the amount of that you get to count in your rate formula to only 80%. See, what they figure is if 20% of your cost were for non-rural health clinic work, then we need to take 20% of the administrative and facility cost off. Makes sense, doesn't it? So you don't want to have much. If it's 3 or 4% in that third section, that's about right. That should reflect the reclassifications you've made for non-rural health clinic activities like labs and diagnostic tests, technical components, and so forth, okay? It's very important to keep your non-rural health clinic costs to a minimum so that you don't have a tremendous negative impact on that middle section. The example that I gave you of the gentleman, physician that had the two clinics and running them both under one umbrella, he was only realizing about 30% of his facility administrative costs. And it was killing him on his rate. He was $20 off of the cap. So we fixed that with our consulting firm that we used for our cost reporting, went back and refiled some things and got it taken care of. Now on to slide 15, reclassifications and adjustments to the rural health clinic cost report. As we've discussed throughout this session, there are areas where you're going to make adjustments and reclassifications. An adjustment is where you just take it off and reduce the line item. A reclassification is where you remove it from there and you move it down to another category. And then you have to explain all of that on the next page, which is the explanation for all reclassifications and adjustments, okay? The things you want to look for are on slide number 16. Now let's go over those real quickly. Physician's salary paid for hospital visits. That may be an area where you'll have to do a reclassification. Lab salaries, the cost of the time that your lab technician is in the lab versus seeing patients in the clinic. The technical cost for diagnostic tests. These are the technical expense, the expense of the nurse that's doing the EKG or the X-ray.